let's talk about split testing your emails. In this, I'm going to explain what it is, why you do it, how to do it. I'm going to give you a whole bunch of things to test, and I'm going to give you some tips on how to test better. All right, so here we go. A/B split testing for email. So first question is, what is split testing? Basically, split testing is where we send a different email to two or more groups of people, and then you may to see which one performs the best, whether it's click on the link, whether it's a view, click rates, whatever it is. That's what you're measuring here. So why would we want to do this? Well, basically what ends up happening is when you split test, you tend to get better results because you start figuring out what works, what doesn't with your particular audience. And then you take that and you use that to shape everything else that you do in your emails. So you can measure things like click-throughs, conversions, and as you do this, it also can improve your deliverability of your emails, because when you're getting more click-throughs on your emails, more opens on your emails, you tend to get better deliverability. Now, I'm going to talk about how you do this because I'm sure that there are a few of you who are saying, all right, how do I do that? I'm going to talk about how you do it in a minute. First thing I want to talk about is what to test. I'm going to give you 20 different things that you can test in email. I realize that's a lot, but I'm giving you ideas of things that you can start testing in your email. So let's start with the most important one, which is your email subject line. So you can send out two different emails, one to half your list, another half your list, or I'm going to talk about how to do this a little bit differently later on, and with two different subject lines. See which one gets opened more frequently. Next one. Hey, your from name. So your from name is really important. It's one of the three things that people can see when they look through their emails. They can see your from name, they can see your subject line, and then the third thing they can see is your pre-header, that short bit of copy that tells a little bit more about what's in that email. Those three things are the most important things to test because they influence open rate, which influences everything else that goes on from there. So those are the three most important things to test. Number 4 is copy. There's lots of different copy that you can have in an email, and there's different copy variations that you can test to see which one works. And in addition to things like copy, there's things like number of words in your email, whether you tell a story, whether you just use a hook leading to a click. All those things are testable. Next, your email structure. So things like how many images in there? Are there images at all? How much copy? How you structure some copy before and then an image, copy afterwards, or do you do images solid and then copy afterwards? All those things can be tested. Next, your call to action. Is it just a text link? Is it a button? Is it a picture of a video with a play button in the middle that when you click it, it takes you to that video? All those things are testable. Next is number of links. So if you're doing pure text emails, number of links actually is a really important thing to determine how many clicks you get. You should definitely text that. Next, do you have a PS? And what is in your PS copy? Number 9, what time of day you email. Number 10, hey, while we're at it, let's talk about what days of the week are best for you to email. 11, frequency. How often are you sending out emails? You can split your list and have different people receive emails in different frequencies, especially new people to your list, to figure out what frequency people want to hear. 12 is what we call an opt-down. Now, you've seen these before. So if someone is going to send out a number of emails over the next, let's say, 2 weeks to promote a launch, you may want to give people the ability to opt out of that launch without opting out of your list. That's called an opt-down. So you can say, I'm not interested in hearing more about the promotion about aardvark raising. But I still want to stay on your list. That's called an opt-down. It's a very powerful tool, and I suggest you test it. Number 13 is your offer. Hey, here's this product that I'm selling. Maybe it's a pricing. It can be all elements offer. Pricing. Do I sell it with a video or text? Do I sell it with multiple emails or multiple different videos, or I sell it with one webinar or whatever it is? Your offer is really key. Number 14 is, hey, what are your images that are in your email? What do they look like? Number 15 is really important, is what does my mobile design look like? Because most emails now are being at least previewed on mobile if they're not read there altogether. And the vast majority are read there altogether. Number 16 is your landing page. Where do you send them to? So you can send the exact same email with just a different URL going to two different landing pages to see which one actually converts better. Next is, hey, what about your social media links? Can you put some social media links in your email and see which version, do I put it at the bottom? Do I put it in the middle? Do I put it off to the side? Any of those, which one gets the highest number of social media followers? Number 18 is your footer. You can oftentimes put things into the footer that makes a huge difference in terms of the total presence of your email. Number 19 is the size of type. As people are getting older, people wanting larger size type. That fights, by the way, with cell phone readership. And so you've got this thing that happens back and forth. Size of type is a great thing to test. Number 20 is branding or lack of branding. Do you put your logo at the top? Do you not put it in there? So that's 20 different things that you can and should be testing for your emails. Now, let's talk about how to go about doing this, because some of you are going, okay, Don, I got it. I bought in. How in the world do I do this? Well, the first thing I suggest you do is pick up the phone, call your email service provider's support number and ask them, hey, I'd like to do some email split tests. How can I do that on your service? Many of them have now put split testing in as part of their service. And so you don't have to go do anything on the side. You just click, hey, I want to test, and it'll show you how to do that. And then number 2, I suggest you use tags to divide your audience. So first off, I totally believe everyone should only be using tag-based email systems. I've got other emails other videos you can watch on that subject, but tags to divide your audience. And so that enables you to be able to say, all right, everyone with this tag, I want to receive this email. Everybody with that tag, I want to receive this other email. That enables you to be able to do a split test automatically. I like to do one other thing. I like to totally randomize who's in which group. Here's the way I do it. I take the third letter of their email address and I give them tags based on that. So if I'm dividing my list into 2 groups, I take the third letter of their email address. Is it between A and whatever the middle of the email? It's like K or L or something like that. And then is the third letter between M and Z. And then I just divide those. I give a tag to everybody who's in the first half. I give a tag who's everybody in the second half. That gives me a purely random list as to which one is, and it doesn't do things like when they joined, are they male, female, all those kinds of things like that. I don't want any of that. I want a pure break between the two of them. Now, depending on the size of your list, we're still talking about how you do this. You can either have an A and a B section if it's fairly small. So you just take your whole list, divide it into 2 groups randomly, as I've told you, or you can do an A and a B section, and then the rest of the list gets the better performer of the test that was done to the A and B section. So let's say, for example, you've got 20,000 people on your email list. You may want to take 2,000 people, put them in A, 2,000 people, put them in B, and then the other 16,000 get whatever the one is that's the winner of that. So these 2 you do on Monday, and then maybe on Tuesday or Wednesday, you send the rest of that email to the rest of the list, depending on which one that wins. This is a great way to do it, because what this does is it means that the email that goes out to your bulk of your audience is always the winner of your test. Think about what I just said. There's gold in what I just talked about. Okay. Next, test groups need to be large enough to get significance. If you're doing something like testing click-through rates, and then you're going to need to have enough people in each group that if you get 10% click-through rates, you got to have like 300 people in each, 300 people to be able to tell that difference. And so you got to have a big enough group, maybe like 3,000 people or 2,000 people in each group to be able to do that. And you need to allow enough time to allow significance to happen. So some people want to go back to this and they want to do this test and 20 minutes later mail it out to the rest. Well, you probably are not going to achieve significance in this part of the test to be able to do this in 20 minutes unless you got a really big list. So make sure you're allowing enough time in the system to be able to do that. Now, I'm going to give you now a series of tips that will help you to do this better. First tip. Always have a hypothesis. I think this one's going to win for this reason. Then what you're doing is you're testing whether that hypothesis is true or not. If it's true, then A1. If it's false, then B1. But this hypothesis always helps. Number 2, I suggest you test regularly. This is not something you only do when you're doing a launch. It's too important for you to be making assumptions and just send out stuff without testing. I also suggest you retest regularly. So a test that won on January 1st may not win on July 1st. Why? Because, hey, things change. Not only do preferences change, but the email service provider, email recipient providers, so the Gmails, the Yahoos, the Hotmails of the world, they change their policy. And it may be that one of your test areas may not get delivered at all. And you say, hey, this won on January 1st. Well, by July, Gmail may not even let anything with that particular format of the email get through, and so it will fail. So test regularly. Next, only test one thing at a time. So if you're testing copy, that's all you're going to test is, okay, this second paragraph or this first paragraph is going to be different between the two. You never test copy and subject line and presence of a image versus not presence of the image, and whether you have a button or a text link at the bottom, all in the same email, because you're always going to get results that in the end, you won't know which one of those things was the driver. So only test one thing at a time. Next, record your tests in writing. I like to actually, I have a virtual notebook where I record everything, and my goal is to have it be good enough that a stranger could walk in, look at that, and know enough from that test to be able to reproduce that exact same test. And so one of the things I do in that is I also include screenshots as well as a paste it in of the text so that it's very clear exactly what was happening. You think right now you're going to remember, but 3 years now, when you remember that, you'll not remember all the details on that test. Always do things in writing. Now, some general tips to help you in this whole world of email marketing. Use your tags liberally. So a lot of people, it's like, I've only got 20 tags. No, I've only got 2,000 tags because I'm tagging everything. Why? Because later on, I may want to come back and find out data that I haven't even thought about right now. And so I'm going to track every single person who clicks on every single link, so I know exactly which link they clicked on, so I can be able to go back into that email and figure out which things were. The more liberally you use the tags, the better off your ability is to get data and make changes in your process over time. Among other things, also you want to be tagging things like, hey, where did that lead originally come from? So if it came from a Facebook ad, record that. Not only record that they came from a Facebook ad, but record that they came from this particular Facebook ad. Every Facebook ad you have should have a code name that you can tie back to. It's unique only to that ad so that you can be able to identify those people. Because maybe you 2 years from now want to go back and say, okay, these 2 ads that I ran 2 years ago, the people that came from those ads, which one was most valuable to me? If you don't give that in your tags, you don't have that. And so that goes to this thing I call the presenting offer, which is what was the first thing that they saw that caused them to want to opt in. That should be recorded in your tag so that you can be able to identify it later on. Also, look at things like the age of the lead. And so in your tags, and if your email service does not record what date they opted in, you need to add that into your tags so you can be able to get to that. As well as every time they buy anything, I want to increment a value by how much they bought so that I can have a lifetime value. I want to be able to open up my email program and look and see this person has bought $15,673 from me, and this person has bought $47. And I want to be able to rank everybody who's bought anything from top to bottom by according to the total of everything they bought. Not just that they bought such and such an offer. I want a total of everything that they bought. So I know this all sounds a little complicated. It's not. It's fairly simple. You just have to think through it and figure out how to do it because it's all data in the end. And every piece of data is testable. I encourage you to do it because those who test outperform those who don't. There you go. Email testing all in one video. What do you still need to know? Let me know in the comments. This is Don Crowther saying, just go do this stuff.